Excuse me. So we got Unit 4, Lecture 8, motivational concepts. So we're going to start talking about motivation here. We'll begin motivation today, or in this particular lecture. I don't know what day you'll be watching it. And then we'll continue with the next lecture, which will be motivation, which will be lecture 9, which will wrap up Unit 4. So with that in mind, here we go. We're going to talk about homeostasis. We're going to talk about drive versus incentive and how incentive impacts drive and vice versa. And then we'll wrap up with the infamous Maslow hierarchy of motivation. So what is motivation? It's hard to define because it's an internal state. And it activates our behavior towards a particular goal. But what motivates you may not motivate me, and vice versa. It's why we behave in a certain way. It's things that motivate us. You guys very motivated by this guy right here, your little phone. Anytime it goes off, I'm motivated. You know, your social media, very motivated by selfies, very motivated by Twitter followers, Instagram stories. All these things really greatly motivate you, but may not necessarily motivate other people. So again, motivation is very personal. It's very internal. We don't all necessarily react to it the same. So when it comes to what motivates you, it can be a lot of things: school, grades, work, all these sort of things. A lot of times stress, lack thereof can be motivating, but some of them are biological and some of them are social. Biological, these internal things that are non-negotiable: hunger, thirst, sex. Now, again, we're going to see this a couple of times. Sex is a motivating factor, blah, blah, blah. Depends on who we're talking about. You know, 7-year-old child, no. A monk in Tibet, no. Others, possibly. But again, it depends on you, your background, all these other things. Temperature. I don't want to be too hot. I don't want to be too cold. Going to the bathroom can be a great motivating factor. You know, if you've got stuff percolating inside of you, you don't care about this lecture. You just need to, you know, get stuff out. That's your greater motivating factor. Sleep, activity. I don't want to be bored. I don't want to be sitting. I need to be moving around. Aggression, vengeance, all of these things can be biological motivating factors. Achievement, I want to excel, or I want to pass, whatever. Affiliation, I want to be with others. Autonomy, I want to be by myself. I want to be nurtured. I want to be cared for. I want to care for others. I need to dominate. I need to win. I want to show off. I want things to be in their certain place. I want things to be a mess. I want to have a good time. All of these things can be motivating factors, but it's very difficult for us to observe because we can't necessarily see motivation. You know, when somebody dresses up nicely, I don't know if that's motivated by their own goal, but they just want to look their best. Are they trying to impress others? Are they trying to get a job so that they can make money? You know, there's a lot of different reasons we do different things, and there's a lot of different things that motivate us, and it doesn't impact us all the same. So when it comes to instincts, an instinct is something that you naturally have. You know, salmon know to swim upstream. Bears know to hibernate during the winter. Birds know how to fly south and crap on my car at HEB. They know the time to do that and how to build nests and everything else. They don't go to school. They just know how to do it. They're born with it. They pick it up. They know how to do it. Humans don't have a lot of instincts, which makes us very adaptable. You know, when you talk about an animal like a polar bear, it's not going to survive in the desert because it doesn't have the instinctual way to do it. A snake is not going to survive in the Arctic or the Antarctic. It's not going to be able to adapt. Yet humans, because most of our behavior is learned behavior, we are very adaptable and we can learn in other ways. So humans don't have a lot of instinct. I know a lot of people will go, oh, a mother has a child and she has a motherly instinct. If there was a motherly instinct, all women would make great mothers. But that's not the case. Some are fantastic mothers, some are terrible mothers. Not every guy is going to be a great father. We don't necessarily have instincts. We learn behavior. And some of the lessons we learn are fantastic. And some of the lessons we learn are terrible. And again, depending on where we get those from. So a lot of times when we talk about human instincts, we're talking about characteristics. And it does not necessarily explain behaviors. It just simply labels it of someone who's sociable, someone who's curious, someone who's loving, but we're not all the same in that. Humans are dependent on learned behavior and how we learn, from parents, from friends, from schools, whatever, differentiates between us. Those of you taking psychology right now, some of you guys will take this and learn what you need to get for the test because you just want to get the grade on the test. You're motivated by the grade. Some of you guys are taking this class because you're motivated to learn more about yourself. Some of you guys are taking this class because you're motivated to possibly want to go into the field of psychology. There's a lot of different things that motivate you taking this particular class, the particular level that you are taking it at. Because what we're looking for ultimately is homeostasis, and homeostasis is balance. I don't want to be too hungry. I don't want to be too full. I want to have a balance in between. I don't want to be too hot. I don't want to be too cold. I want to be comfortable. So homeostasis is this constant middle ground that we're looking for. We don't want to be too aroused. I don't want to be aroused and excited all the time. I also want to have times of calmness. And we need that. We need good times and bad times. We don't want to just have good times. I also need the bad times because the bad times make me appreciate the good times more. I need to have good days and bad days. I need to have the good days so that when I'm having bad days, I know the days can get better. And I need to have bad days so that when I'm having good days, I can appreciate the greatness of them. Okay, so again, we're looking for a balance of these two. So homeostasis is finding this balance. And again, this balance is looked at through a sense of needs. I have needs, and needs are biological or psychological requirements that we have to have. Some of these needs, which are physiological, are non-negotiable. I got to breathe. There's no negotiation there. If I'm not breathing, I'm dead. If I'm not eating, I'm dead. I have to have these. These are non-negotiable things. If somebody is choking you and you can't get your next breath, you don't care whether or not your biology project is done. You need your next breath because if you don't get that, everything else is irrelevant. Okay, so those are physiological needs. I have to have them. Psychological things are things I'd like to have friends. I'd like for people to like me. I'd like love. I'd like a home. These are things I'd like to have. I don't necessarily have to have them, but I'd like to have them. So when we look at these needs produce drives to get us to get to these particular needs. And this drive is an internal state that can change from time to time and motivates the organism to get to their particular goal. For example, hunger, which we'll talk about in the next lecture in mass. Hunger is going to drive us to eat. Curiosity is going to drive us to learn. Fatigue is going to drive me to go to sleep. And love is going to drive me to do many, 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 many silly things. It's an amazing motivating factor. For some more important than others. And then when you find the true love, that's when it's really sort of kind of amazing. All right. So ultimately what we're trying to do is reduce our drive, or we're driven to go towards our particular need. So ultimately, I don't want my drive to be too high and distracting because it's always going to get in my way. So drive reduction theory is this idea that I'm driven towards a particular need. And then once that need is taken care of, then I can go back to homeostasis. So we're pushed towards satisfying a need. Because when that need's not taken care of, my body is not happy. If I'm really, really tired, I'm not a great person to be around. So I'm going to be driven towards sleep. If I'm really hungry, I'm not a fun person to be around. I want the food. So again, if the need isn't satisfied, we become tense, we become agitated to push us towards satisfying that particular need because our body wants this homeostasis. We want this balance. Again, some of it can be primary and some of it can be learned as well. And some of them just can't be explained. Also, it fails to answer certain questions. Sometimes we eat when we're not hungry. We're already full. There's all these other reasons that we eat, which we'll talk about in the next lecture. The fact that it's time to eat, the fact that other people are eating, the fact that, oh my God, it's pumpkin spice season. And if I don't get all my spice now, I won't be able to get it in April. So there's all these different things that sort of drive us to do these particular things. When you take a look at spicy foods, some of us love spicy food. Some of us are driven not to like spicy foods, and culture has a lot to do with it. If you take a look at this graphic over here, you'll notice that depending on the mean temperature of the area that you live in, warmer temperature places tend to have more spicy foods because, again, in hot climates, foods historically would spoil quicker. So they would have to put more spice in it to get rid of the bacteria, whatever. So you just, Mexico and Guatemala and Brazil and Ecuador and Singapore, and these countries have a lot more spicy food than, say, food from Canada or Finland or places like that, where they don't have as many spices in the food. In England, because they weren't as worried about food spoiling. So again, what we're looking for is the balance. How do I get the balance in my life? So this gets down to what is called the drive reduction theory. When an organism is deprived of something it needs or wants, it becomes tense, it becomes agitated until that particular thing is taken care of, because we want the homeostasis. So if I move myself over here, if I want food, I am driven by hunger, and I'm going to eat because that will reduce my hunger and take care of my need for food. If I want water, I'm going to be driven by my thirst, and it's going to cause me to drink. If I want rest, I'm going to be driven by my exhaustion, and it's going to cause me to sleep. So my ultimate goal is to go back and get homeostasis, to get this balance. So if the behavior is successful in reducing the drive, it becomes a habit. So a lot of times what we'll do is random sort of activities until we find the thing that's going to take care of my need. For example, when you were young and you had a headache, what do you do to take care of a headache? I'm sure many of you have many different answers. For some of you, it's 2 Tylenol. For some of you, it's 1 Advil. For some of you, it's take a nap. For some of you, it's drink water. For some, it'll be take a shower. Whatever the case may be. What you've done is you've discovered the one little cure to your headache. And once you discover that cure, you continue to do it. If it's something that works, you go back and you do it again and again and again. If you can't sleep, if you can't study for a test. And again, one of the questions that students ask me, which I can never answer correctly, is, Mr. Porter, how do I study for your test? I don't know how to study for my test. I'm not you. Are you a flashcard person? Are you a read your notes person? Are you a read the textbook person? Are you a go back and look at video review questions? Are you I got to watch the lecture again person? Are you a person who needs to take the notes before the lecture? Just listen to the lecture, take the notes out. You got to figure out what works best for you. So what you do is you try a bunch of different things. And then by the time you find the thing that works, you're going to continue to do that particular thing. Now, the tragedy of this, sometimes people don't discover this until the 5th, 6th, 7th unit, and by the end of the semester is over. But you got to figure out what works best for you. I don't know. I'm not 16, 17, 18 in the year 2021, 22. I don't know what works best. All right. So Hull said that all human motives are extensions of these basic biological needs. Again, if you take a look at this over here, I'm driven and I'm going to learn how to take care of that particular drive. I'm hungry. So I've learned that if I go to the bakery and order a sandwich, that sandwich will make me full, and therefore I now have homeostasis. I'm balanced. I'm not full anymore. But then once I lose that fullness and I'm deprived of it, I'm just suddenly at the need and I'm hungry. So I'm driven to go eat again and go back and do it again and again and again and again and again. That's just basically what we do, from acquiring property to thrill seeking to all these other things. For example, we feel driven to take care of newborns. We want to take care of babies. Why? Why do we want to take care of babies? They're useless. They don't do anything. They eat, they poop, they cry. That's it. So why would we take care of these guys here? Oops. Why would we take care of this? Well, I'll tell you why. Because they are, in essence, look at those big eyes. Look at those big ears. They're cute. They're just so damn cute. And because babies are so cute with their big eyes, yeah, I hear you. The only thing we're born with that's adult size when we're a child is eyes. So we get these big, big doe eyes. And as a result, there you go, of these baby characteristics, those little squeaky sounds that I'm hearing over here, they naturally put us into a caregiver mode. Dopamine is released when we hear it. We make faces at them. We want them mimicked back to us. The reason we look at kitty videos, puppy videos, they relieve stress because they're so cute. And that cuteness gives us this idea of I want to take care of it. I want it to give me more cuteness. I want to see more cuteness. I want to experience more cuteness. People who watch baby animal videos actually perform better at playing the game Operation than those who didn't. You know, I want to take care of these puppies, these kitties, this strange cartoon guy. I want to take care of him more because of that. Oops, sorry, skip forward here. There we go. I have no idea what's going on here. Why is that skipping back? I'm going to pause this here for a second and let me get back to it. Okay, wasn't sure what went on there, but we're back to it. So again, the last thing we were talking about is people that watch puppy videos, kitty videos, perform better at the game of Operation. We develop a need for social approval because as little infants, we learn that when we make faces and when we're cute, others take care of us. So we're looking for a person who's going to take care of our needs. So gradually the need for approval becomes just as important in of itself, and it becomes a learned drive. As a matter of fact, studies show domesticated animals, puppies, kitties, whatever, they're cuter than feral animals. If you gave people, here's pictures of kitties and puppies that live in people's homes versus these are ones that live on the streets and are wild, like on the streets of Mexico or whatever, we find the domesticated ones cuter because the domesticated ones learn to be cuter, because that cuter is a survival technique that gives them more love, attention, food, protection from humans. Okay, so with that in mind, all right. So when it comes to drive reduction theory, what Hall did overlook was the idea of wants and choice, not just needs, but also wants. The fact that we want to be hugged, we want soft things, we inherently get pleasurable things from that. We'll talk about that more when we get to Harlow's monkeys, where you had these little monkeys that preferred the cloth and the softness as opposed to the need of the food, and a little bit of a struggle that went on with them. We want to get attention. We want to be involved. You know, the idea that when I help somebody on the side of the road and then I take a picture of it, I put it on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, am I really helping that person because it's the right thing to do, or do I want the credit for helping that person? There's this thing called slacktivism, which is token activism. When somebody clicks like on something or retweets something or puts it as part of their story or whatever, they feel like, you know what, I put that on social media, I did my part. But in reality, you didn't do a lot. You know, clicking on like actually reduces our need to do something more meaningful, to donate, to march, to really get involved. We posted on social media, look at me, look at what I did, that's enough. There's actually this campaign called Liking Isn't Helping, where, you know, they take these pictures of homelessness and tragedy and whatnot, and just a bunch of people with a thumbs up. You know, just because you like something on the internet or you made a comment on something on the internet, that doesn't really make change. It's just you bitching or being sympathetic or whatever. So sometimes a post on social media, that reduces our drive of wanting to do anything, and it actually stops us from really getting involved and really getting behind something like that. So that becomes a little bit of a problem. Again, if I'm already getting credit for the support, why get my hands dirty? Everybody else saw that I supported, so do I really have to do anything? Yet when we donate in private, we're more likely to do more. So social media actually gets in the way a lot of times of our activism. So again, what gets us to do things? Well, an incentive does that. An incentive is an external stimulus, reinforcer, whatever, that rewards or motivates certain behavior. And these things drive inside of us, cause us to react, and it pulls us towards a particular action. For example, a strong drive can make up for a weak incentive. If I'm really, really thirsty, water tastes amazing because I'm so thirsty. I don't need, my Monster, my whatever, the Gatorade or whatnot, just water because you're so thirsty. And when you're really, really, really hungry, a cracker tastes amazing. Cafeteria food is fantastic. It's wonderful because you're so hungry. That will do. And at the same time, if somebody's really lonely, really heartbroken, really desperate, you're not looking for Mr. Right, you're looking for Mr. All Right for now. Okay, when everybody else has a date to homecoming, everybody else has a date to prom, and you're the only one who doesn't. If Quasimodo walks in here, all right, he's got a pulse, whatever, it's good enough. You just don't want to be the only one who doesn't have someone. And again, there are people who know how to pounce on that and look for the lonely people and sort of take advantage of that situation. So again, that's why you got to be okay with being by you sometimes. Now, on the other side of the equation is sometimes you don't have a drive. You have a very weak drive, but a strong incentive can make up for the weak drive. For example, if I offered you in class free, let's say you're not hungry, you had just had lunch or whatever, but I said, hey, here's free pizza. You're going, well, it's free, let me get it. And that's what all advertising is about, is making the incentives stronger. About a week from now, this is first week of August, I'm doing these, I'm recording these lectures here. In a couple of weeks, they're going to have tax-free weekend, which is such a scam because they're like, you don't have to pay sales tax. And therefore, everybody's going to go to the outlet mall to save 8.5%. Where if you just go to the mall at now the mall's not going to have a sale because you're going to come here anyways. Why put anything on sale? We're going to make a buttload of money. So they'll have their sales. And even when you go to the outlet mall and you're like, oh, look at how much I saved. The prices are already way too high. And we'll talk about that down the road when we get to framing. Buy one, get one free, limited edition, McRib. It's back for a limited time only. Better get this in your gullet now or we're going to lose it. All right. So again, when you go to the grocery store, the milk and the bread, they're located way in the back. Why? So you have to go through all these other combo locos to decide, and that's why if you're really, really hungry, you should not go to the grocery store because they have all the strong incentives. Now you've got a strong drive and a strong incentive, and suddenly you got coconut cream pies all in your basket. Okay. The impulse buy near the front, all these things, scammers on the internet. They take advantage of this. This is your one opportunity. Debt collectors, who I have no debt to my name from any debt collectors, but I'll still have people call me up and saying, you owe 13,000 from this account. If you just send us 2,000 now, we'll call it even. Oh my God. And you've got some people that will fall for those scams, not check their credit and all these other things. The line between emotion and logic can be really, really fuzzy. You just send us $1,000 now and we'll return you 20,000. How could I not do that? And again, this is where internet scams use all of this stuff. Act now or we're going to send the police to your home or place of business. Of course, they don't know your place of business. All of it's just a scam. All right. So when it comes to can money buy us happiness, which I think we talked a little bit about before, to some degree, the answer is yes. The more money you have does take care of bills. But as we talked about before, there is sort of someone making under 20,000 a year, minimum wage. That's it. Their happiness levels down here, 20 to 50,000, you get up here, 50 to 90 and 90 plus. There's not much of a difference because by the time you get there, your bills are pretty much taken care of. So again, if you can make sure that my rent is paid, my bills are paid, that my kids have clothes, that I have enough money for an emergency, yeah, sure, money can buy you happiness. But to some degree, the answer is no, because it does relieve the hassles of bills, but it does not have any impact on day-to-day happiness. And once you have a significant amount of money, it also removes that one thing that you could blame, where before you only had the money and only had the concert tickets, now you get the money and the concert tickets and you're still kind of unhappy. So how can money truly buy you happiness? And studies have shown this to be true. There are ways that money can in fact make you happier if you spend it in three particular ways. One way, time-saving purchases. People who hire a lawn crew, people who hire a cleaning service, because what this does is it's buying you time. That's 2 hours I don't have to spend mowing the lawn. That's 3 hours I don't have to spend cleaning my house. So I am buying time. When we can buy time for ourselves and relieve ourselves of the mundane tasks that, we know we could do if we wanted to do, but we don't want to do them, and somebody else does them, and it relieves us and it gives us time that we could better use for hobbies or family time or whatever. Time, spending money to free up time has proven to be very, very happy. Buying things for other people makes us happier. We see their happiness. We get the mirror neurons. We know we've lifted a little bit of weight off of their lives. Yes, buying things for others makes us happier, especially when they weren't expecting anything. I'll say this all the time, guys. Buy a girl flowers, not for Valentine's Day, not for her birthday, not for some other thing. Buy her flowers because it's Tuesday, because her expectation on Tuesday was nothing. And then suddenly you delivered flowers. She had no expectations. Here are flowers. You've exceeded the expectations. The problem is a lot of times when we buy things for other people, it's because we have to buy them. It's Valentine's. It's a birthday. It's this. When you have to, it's not as good. It's when you buy it for no reason. You're at the TJ Maxx and you saw a pair of earbuds and you realize her earbuds were broken. So you just spent $15 and you picked them up. Hey, these aren't great, but these will get you by until you find your new ones or they get repaired or whatever. I was just thinking about you. That makes us happier. When we make others happy, we become more happy. And finally, purchasing experiences makes us happier. Spending money on a vacation makes us a lot happier than buying a new car, because the car is going to deteriorate. The car is going to lose value. The car is going to age poorly. The car is going to need an oil change and new tires and a new windshield, whatever. So the things that we buy tend to lose value as they go on because they become old and broken and whatever. Yet the experience that I had, I just came back from Washington, D.C. I went on vacation. It was fantastic. And as I look back on that time that I had with my wife in D.C. celebrating our anniversary, those memories are just going to become better. They're going to become better and better and better and better. So that improves as a great investment of money, a great investment of time as well. That can make you happier. Now, when we deny homeostasis, because sometimes we do, we want balance in our lives. Of course, we want balance in our life, but we also want stimulation. Stimulation is a primary need, and we're driven to achieve this. We get on a roller coaster. Some people will jump out of a plane, whatever. They seem dangerous, but in reality, they aren't. Some people like to watch scary movies. And scary movies are great because there is that stress that's involved in them, but we can stop it at our own convenience. Ultimately, we're in control. We realize that during a scary movie where there's someone being stabbed by a knife, we know we're not going to die. Well, at least we're pretty sure we're not going to die. I don't know who you've pissed off and it's going to walk in your eye. I don't know. But for the most part, we think we're safe. Roller coaster seems dangerous, but ultimately everybody's getting off of it and it's okay. It only lasts for a few minutes anyways. But some people have this need of effect, this need to feel emotions, sensation seekers who tend to like horror movies more. And this starts at a very, very young age because to them, fear is fun. Fear gives them a sense of happiness. Where highly empathetic people do not enjoy it as much because fear is fear. And both groups, while they're watching the film, will be afraid, but the sensation seekers will get a joy out of it at the end because that adrenaline rush was fun. They want the adrenaline rush. And these tend to be people who are risk takers. Risk takers tend to have fewer dopamine receptors, so it takes more to sort of simulate it. You jump out of a plane on a snowboard to hit a mountain and go down. Okay, well, once you do that 2 or 3 times, what's next? Because you become kind of an adrenaline junkie. You need that next hit. It's like the alcoholic who just needs to drink to get to normal. You get some people that are risk takers that have to take risks just to feel normal. And that's where it gets to be a little bit of a problem. It's people who can't stay in relationships because I need the excitement of the first date. I need to date a lot of people. I can't settle down. These impulsive people, ADHD, tends to have a lot of need for affect as well. Now, when it comes to arousal theory, and I think we might have talked about this when we were talking about emotions as well. We perform difficult tasks better when our arousal level is low, yet perform easier tasks when it is high. I think, I did talk about this before. When you're a confident basketball player, you're going to perform better in front of a crowd than practicing in the gym with a few people because you're able to show off. Okay, so the crowd's going to get me hyped and everything else. I'm going to perform better. But if I'm not good at something, let's say I'm a bad math student and the teacher calls on me to go on the board in front of everybody else and work out the problem, there's no way I'm going to do it because now I'm so concerned with everybody staring at me and everything else. I can't focus on this thing that's already hard for me in the first place. That's why the optimal arousal level is to be not too high and not too low. You want to be somewhere in between because in any particular day, we're doing a lot of very difficult tasks and a lot of very easy tasks. And so we want to sort of be in the middle. And this state of arousal tends to put us in a zone or what's also known as a flow, where we have intense focus, concentration, enjoyment, a sense of control goes to this. This is when you're playing the video game that you've played again and again and again. And again, you're not overtly aroused because it is a difficult game. So that's not freaking you out, but you're also not under aroused because you've got that going on. So again, this leads to sort of time slowing down. It's when you're typing or texting and your fingers are just going and you're like, how is this all appearing? Someone who plays the same sport again and again and again, and the game sort of slows down from a little bit. The fact that you can go through your video game buttons, whatever, the task should require a lot of attention, but you're so good at it. You've been doing it so much that your arousal level is high because it's exciting, but it's also an easier task. So you're in that optimal arousal level of in the zone or that state of flow that psychologists like to talk about as well. Now, the last thing we need to talk about here is within humanistic psychology is something that Abraham Maslow came up with called Maslow's pyramid. Maslow's pyramid basically says there's a hierarchy of needs. And what we have to do with any sort of architecture is I got to have a strong base. And once I have a strong base, then I can build up on that base. So he said our needs are divided by our most important needs at the bottom, and then we can work our way all the way up to self-actualization. So according to Maslow, we start here at the bottom with what are called fundamental needs. And these are needs that I have to have, and then needs that I really, really want to have. And then once I have these and all my fundamental needs taken care of, then I can get to my psychological needs, which are to be around other people and whatnot. And then once I have that taken care of, then I could be the best me I want to be. So let's take that step by step. Your fundamental needs, these start with your physiological needs. And again, as we talked about at the beginning of this lecture, physical needs, these are things I have to survive. I got to breathe. I got to eat. I got to drink. I got to sleep. I got to go to the bathroom. Non-negotiable. Again, sex, we could debate that all day. But the other ones I have to have, because if I don't get my next breath, the amount of money in my 401k is irrelevant. I can't breathe. I gotta sleep. I gotta have these things. And without these, I can't move up the pyramid. But then once I got my physiological needs taken care of, then we get to our safety needs. Security of the body. I'd like to not be punched in the face. That'd be great. It'd be fantastic not to be punched in the face every day. Now, if I were to be punched in the face every day, I could still survive. I could still live. I could still have a life. Wouldn't be as happy of a life, but I could still have it. I'd like to have a job because a job would give me resources and give me property. And this property would give me a home where I could sleep and resources where I'd have food and all these, they'd be great to have, but I could still live without a job. I could still be homeless and live. It's not the best way to live, but I could still do it. So again, once I have the physiological needs taken care of, then I have the safety needs, and the safety needs are very important in order to ensure that I have the physiological needs. So I'm building up my pyramid. Then the next set of needs becomes social needs, this idea of love, belonging. I want other people in my life. I want to have friends. I want to have family. And I want to make sure that they're taken care of. The fact that there's other people who need me and that I am needed by them. These have to be filled by an outside source, these psychological needs. A lot of us can't fill our own psychological needs. We want others around us. We want to have intimacy. And again, it says sexual intimacy, but just intimacy where I know somebody else as well as they know me, and I can trust them and they can trust me, and it all goes into the vault. Fantastic. And then once I have these friends and I have others that are surrounding me in a group of peers, whatnot, then I can start to be recognized. Then I can start to get rewards, awards, whatever. Again, I can't give myself an Oscar. That I have to be recognized by others. Others can tell me I'm doing a good job. It's hard for me to tell that myself. So then I get my esteem because I have these others. These other people can give me this sort of esteem. Then once I have that approval from others, then I can start to approve myself. I can improve myself. And this is where we can have morality, creativity, spontaneity, problem solving, all of these things that are on this level of what is called self-actualization. I can be creative because I know most of the things I come up with are going to suck and they're going to be bad and they're going to fail. And that's okay because I have all these other things worked out on. I can have a lack of prejudice. You know, there's no reason to prejudge others for who they are. I can become accepting of facts that even when I disagree with these facts could still, in fact, be real. The humility that I could be wrong, that gives me self-actualization. Now, are there critics of this? Of course they are, because creative people have to look for the approval of others with their completed work in order to have esteem. So my creativity may not be at self-actualization. And then once I get to self-actualization, you know, if I'm at self-actualization, I'm being a creative person, I'm in my art studio doing whatever, and suddenly I got to go to the bathroom. Do I go to the bottom of the pyramid and work my way back up? Do I have one pyramid for work, one pyramid for my personal life, one pyramid for my house? How do I do these pyramids? Where some people say that maybe it's more of a Venn diagram, that these sort of security needs and stimulation needs and status needs and all these sort of things that fall in there, maybe it's more of they can all happen at the same time sort of a thing, whatever. But again, Maslow is just a theory. And the theory is this idea of this pyramid. And this pyramid starts at the bottom. And I got to take care of this because, again, if I'm no good for me, I'm no good for anybody else. You know, if you're a really angry person and you're mad at the world, it's not a great time to be hanging out with your friends. So again, I got to take care of me first. And then once I take care of me, then I can move up and be around others. And then I can feel good about being around others. And then I can be a more holistic, solid me, which is kind of the idea behind Maslow and his pyramid more right there. Okay, that wraps up this. And that was lecture 8. We will get to lecture 9 next. And that will wrap up everything in unit number 4.